Are you selling cost or value? When it comes to selling final expense and or life insurance, your sales presentation script is most likely geared towards, one or the other, right? Thing is, if you are selling remotely by phone, you really need to be doing both and in a huge way. Today, I'm gonna go over everything that you'll need to make a very solid and strong sales presentation. So let's start by liking the video, and I do suggest subscribing if you're new to the channel. We're putting out new insurance sales content and final expense sales training videos just like this every week. When it comes to selling life insurance and final expense insurance by phone, remotely, the first thing that must be conveyed during your sales presentation is that you're smart and a professional and really a master in your field. You've got to be the best option for the client when it comes to helping them with their burial insurance needs, and they absolutely need to sense this, during your presentation. They got to know you're the guy, you're the gal they want to have. As soon as they answer the phone, like within the first 5 seconds, you're either going to start the process of convincing them that you're a true professional, or you'll start the process of showing that you may not be that person that, they should put their trust in. Guys, stick around to the end of the video. I'm going to show you how to get both the medical questions page, which you're absolutely going to need for your field underwriting, and a copy of the remote sales presentation script. And this is really good for final expense and or life insurance sales. So the client answers the phone, you start your sales presentation, and you sound great, right? Like right from the start. First, you got to address why you're calling, and then it's important to address the need for the insurance, right? I mean, it makes sense that one goes right into the other. Basically, you want to get your prospect to admit that they need the insurance by getting them into a conversation about what's going to happen when that day comes, when they pass. Life insurance sales 101, guys. By doing this, you're finding out the name of the beneficiary, which is important as you're going to want to bring up that person throughout the entire presentation. And guys, especially in the end, let's say when they give you that first objection. As you probably know by now, field underwriting is going to be essential. The next step is to find out the client's health situation, and the only way that this is going to happen is if you have all of the client's medication in front of you, and you got to look it all up. You got to know what they're taking each prescription for. The way I do it, I always ask them, go grab your medication bottles, and I ask them, hey, do you have a list of medications that the doctor gave you? If so, go grab that. And guys, this is when you pull out the medical questions page that I mentioned earlier, which is absolutely going to come in handy right now. The reason you want both the list and the bottles is because the doctors tend to switch people from one medication to the next. And the thing is, even though the prospect no longer takes a certain medication, remember, the insurance carrier is going to see this. They're going to look up the medication, they're going to see it in the background, and they're going to consider this during the underwriting process. Now that you've done the underwriting, it's time to build value in the product that you're selling. Basically, what I refer to as the product presentation. With final expense insurance sales, we talk about whole life insurance and how it works. Honestly, guys, I think this is when I want to separate myself and the products that I sell, from other people and other agents by simply spending time going over the benefits of whole life insurance and comparing it to the negativity of the term life insurance. You got to bring up those negative aspects of how term expires, etc. And this is also when I'm going to talk about the TV commercials that the folks are seeing, from these companies like Colonial Penn, Globe Life, and the negative aspects of those products. When done correctly, you're going to have people saying, oh no, I've got Colonial Penn. Guys, this is a great opportunity for you to come back and let them know, hey, it's going to be fine, no problem, because you're most likely going to be able to do much better if you're an independent agent with multiple products. A couple of the carriers that I want to bring up that I would say you definitely want to have if you're selling final expense. Guarantee Trust Life, GTL, SBLI, Savings Bank Mutual Life Insurance. Both of these companies use a product called the Sequoia Funeral Concierge Service. And those of you who've been around, it's similar to what like Lincoln Heritage uses to bring value to that, kind of expensive product that they sell. With Sequoia, you're going to give your client's policy number to Sequoia and the information of your client, their phone number. And what Sequoia is actually going to do is they're going to call your client for you. And guys, without spending too much time on this, basically Sequoia is going to make it a lot easier for your client's family once the client passes away. They're going to give them like guidance to the steps involved with a funeral, discounts to like caskets and places to get buried, and they'll even give them grief counseling. Believe it or not, you can basically pull up the Sequoia Funeral Concierge Service website and start reading the benefits available as like really a way to build a lot of value during your presentation. Meanwhile, you do your field underwriting and decide which product you're going to give the client, level or graded. With SBLI, then like you've got the GTL graded product for people who are like almost guaranteed issue. So that's why I like both of these carriers and these products. You can literally, if you really wanted to, put like most of your clients with between the two of them. If you're not using these products, it won't make sense to go over the funeral concierge service. And FYI, I never used a concierge service, to bring value when I sold final expense. That wasn't my style. My tendency was to spend more time focusing on affordability after I kind of went over the carrier and went over the benefits of whole life insurance versus term life insurance. Now, let's talk about the close. When it's time to go in for the kill, the close, that's what it is. There are two popular ways to do this. You can either give them 3 prices and face amounts, or you can get into how funeral homes recommend like a specific face amount, a minimum face amount, and then you give them a price at a starting point. And I always recommend, if you're going to do it that way, like throw them something around $85 per month. And when it comes to closing, this is where you really have to come off as, how do I say this, like both strong and flexible. I might say something like, well, Janet, the funeral homes do recommend around $10,000 of insurance, and I can actually get that to you for $85 per month. I can show you more or less. You tell me what to do. With the 3 face amount close, I'll say something like, okay, Janet, I've got some prices pulled up, so I do need you to grab that notepad again. And let me know when you're ready to write down these 3 options. And then I'll say, okay, write this down. And then I'll have them write down the 3 face amounts. I'll read it to them, tell them to write each one down one at a time. And then I'll say, so which option do you want your daughter Sarah to get when that day comes? The $12,000, the $10,000, or the $8,000? This is where you cannot hesitate. I'm telling you, I see all the time, this is where the new agents really screw it up. Because if you hesitate, they're gonna think something's wrong and the client's not gonna wanna trust you. Again, you gotta come off as strong and professional. The clients need to be comfortable with you in the sense that you are the right person to help them with their burial insurance needs. This is the point where a lot of really good clients, really some of your best clients, are simply going to need a little push. Because what they tend to do is give like a knee-jerk reaction that's really designed to get rid of you and get them out of the responsibility of getting this much-needed insurance. I like to use a straight line selling looping technique. The client gives their objection. I go back to the product presentation and talk about the insurance carrier and all the benefits of the product. And I'll even get into like additional riders that might be available. Even though we're not giving them that now, I want them to know about them. If you're going to use this system, you're going to have notes on each carrier that you're selling. That way, the client gives the objection. You pull out your little looping cheat sheet notes on the specific carriers that you've given them the price for. And then you spend about, honestly, at least 5 to 10 minutes building more value in that product. Then I'll get into reminding them of the need and talking about why you're having this conversation in the first place and how this insurance is going to help that beneficiary, and I'm going to use their name again. And then I'll transition back to another close by saying, can I make a suggestion? They're always going to say something like, all right, sure, why not? Or okay. And then you got to reclose firmly, and you suggest that they start with the bottom option. That's what I do. I like to go to the bottom and I remind them, hey, remember, you're not going to have to make a payment today. We're going to take care of that later. And yes, sometimes they'll give a second objection. Guys, this is actually normal. So you're going to need to do another loop and once again go back to the close. If you're just looking for laydowns in life insurance sales or any type of sales where they're just going to hand you a checkbook, you're probably in the wrong business. You'll be surprised how different people can be when they see your face versus just talking over the phone too. So use FaceTime or WhatsApp when they give you an objection. Let them see that you're just like a normal person here in the United States and that you're not some offshore call center representative. Once you've made the sale, the final thing to do is a cool down. I highly recommend spending really at least 5 minutes literally talking about anything other than the insurance. Talk about hobbies, family. If a holiday is approaching or like recently passed talk about it and how it relates to them and their family. Again, sales 101. Look, I'm telling you, this is when your relationship with the client begins, which means you're going to want to put their information into your CRM, and you're going to want to start setting up automations at this point too. With automations, there is a lot of stuff you can do, really. Most agents set up like a birthday reminder so they can call the client. You can even set up an automated happy birthday text message. The key is to stay in contact and to keep them on the books. If they cancel or have a banking issue later, it makes it easier for you to get them back on the phone and save the sale and help them, get that bank draft set up again. For a copy of the medical questions page that I mentioned earlier and the generic telesales presentation script, just email me at doug@ufesonline.com. If you'd like more information on working with us in our preset calendar appointments platform, just shoot me an email at that same address. As always, when you put the needs of your clients first, everything else will usually fall right into place. Now get out there or get on that headset, and whatever you do, make sure that you do something good for someone else today. Happy hunting.